Hello and welcome to a CBK gaming review video. Today we're going to take a look at Arkham Horror 3rd edition by Fantasy Flight Games, which came out late 2018. It's a 1 to 6 player cooperative board game where you take on the role of an investigator in the 1920s, looking into mysterious events, unusual sightings, monsters, and all those ghosts and ghoulies that you will see in the sort of pulp fiction of H.P. Lovecraft and his ilk. So I think the first thing we're going to look at is the content of the game. And as you can see, there is a lot that you get here.
It can seem quite daunting to start with, but
yes,
it's not. Every deck has a purpose and is used at a set time. There's no fumbling between them, is there?
No, and it explains in the rule book when you need certain cards and how certain cards are placed. So you get these really, really well done boards which are the places, indicate places on the actual map, and it'll tell you when to draw cards and how you draw those cards and the effect of those cards. You also get a number of these tokens from wounds, mental damage that you may suffer, through to remnants from the monsters that you may fight or things that you may come across which can be used to cast spells. You also have these improvement tokens where you can improve some of the skills that you have. One of the aspects of the game that I rather like is you have a bag which you put these tokens in. These represent different things that occur, from news headlines to reckoning, and a reckoning is some of the monsters have these very bad effects, or some of the things that you have in your hand.
You can pick up an affliction that sort of activates on a reckoning, and you've got to make a roll to save yourself, and yeah.
That's done very well. When we've played this with 6 players, we've sat around the table, and the amusement of, because it's a blind draw, so each player draws 2, and going round and seeing how one particular young lady, Rin, who managed to pull a good result every single time. I don't know how she does it.
And then blame the rest of us for pulling out.
Yes.
All the reckonings and the doom.
It works very well, and is great fun. But I think we'll elaborate on that when we get to the fun factor. Content-wise, there is a great deal. I have to give it. I have to give it an 8. There's one part that draws away for me, and that's there's standees to represent the investigators on this occasion. We actually don't use them. We have Mansions of Madness, and you get actual miniatures for the figures, and we use those to represent the investigators, as we just feel it feels nicer. And whilst they're not colour because we haven't painted them, it has a nicer feel on the board, and I think everybody appreciated when we used those over the standees.
And also for me, the monsters aren't even standees. They're cards that you draw, so you place the card down where the monster has appeared. And I've seen someone else they've used stands from another game and stood the cards up for the monsters, which I prefer, but I wish that had been included in the game. So yes, for me, for content, I'll agree and go with an 8 as well.
Okay, let's move on to the quality, because this is a Fantasy Flight game. You know it's going to be good quality. I have yet to find a game that they've produced that hasn't been superb quality.
They've set the bar very high.
Yes, they have. So for me, it's an immediate 10. As we say, the quality of the card itself is very good. The artwork is really well done. These boards, as we said, that have the parts of the city on are really sturdy, really well made, and the print quality on them is very well done. The one comment that I will have, and it doesn't take away from the quality, is the colour and the tone of colour. Not for us, but for our friends who are colourblind. And it was pointed out that some of these are very easy to mix.
Some of the districts are very similar colours, and when you go to draw the cards, you can sometimes pick the wrong card until you double check what's written on the bottom. But like we have them in the sort of these here, you don't see what's written on the bottom, so we go on the colour first. And there have been the occasions where we've picked the wrong card, realised, put it back, pick the right card. But yes, it's...
Yeah, I think it's just
noting,
something. Yeah. It's something we hadn't really thought about until our friend who is colourblind pointed out this and a couple of other games where the colour is a problem for them, or they have to be a little bit more sharper of mind each turn. So moving on to fun factor. So I think it's fair to say that we've had an absolute blast every time we've played this. We've played it from 2 players out to the maximum 6. Every single time the story has been different. The way that the actual stories are told and the way that you can actually progress through them, and they get worse, or you can actually do some of the good legwork to begin with and actually have a quite easy time of the story.
Or the combination of different characters that you use. You find some that work well together, some that don't, and so they end up at different sides of the board doing their bits. And it's good when you get 2 fighters that both go after the same monster, and then you get that sort of who's going to kill it first. And
I think we had that. One of the most thematic parts for me was playing this with some of our friends. Brian, Rin, Matt were around. There was you and I and Guy, and Brian was playing is it Muldoon? He's a mafioso chap who had his car, and he uses the car. There's a skill or ability to use the car to run the monster over, and Brian took great joy of just driving around and running over all the monsters, and it really became I really like it when a board game tells a story, as I said before, and that's exactly what this does. There's a part of me that says, well, it's not particularly Lovecraftian, because Lovecraft's work is about what you don't see and what's out there that's beyond your knowledge. Whereas everything here, you get the monsters and you get the supernatural is there. You have spells, there are artifacts, and I can overlook that because of how well the game is told. It's the same with Mansions of Madness. It's the same with Eldritch Horror, but because those 3 games, and I do see those 3 games as a collective.
I do. Yeah.
The Mansions being the smaller, more localized events run on the app, which tells you what to do, with then Eldritch Horror being the larger scale world map, and then Arkham Horror being the city. And they all have that feel, and I think it works very, very well. We have a party, so once a year we run something called Cthulhumas, that we invite all our friends over. Everybody dresses up, so everybody's in 1920s attire, ranging from the dilettante to the archaeologist to the hobo that we had, thank you Matt, last time. And it's a really good laugh. This year we're looking to have either Mansions of Madness or Eldritch Horror run downstairs, and upstairs here we'll be running Arkham Horror and have the same characters sort of go across the different games. So yeah, fun. If you enjoy storytelling games, if you enjoy cooperative games, this is great fun.
My only problem with it, and it's purely me, it's not the game, it's me. You pull out from the codex cards the story. You read that out and you now know what you're investigating and what you have to do. And then you have to go and collect the clue tokens. Now for me, 6-7 rounds later, after having run around the board, fighting off the monsters, trying to get over here to heal someone, trying to get back, I've forgotten what the story is because the clues are just clue tokens. Unlike Mansions of Madness for me, where everything that you investigate is you've picked up a tome that gives you this information, and that information is part of the story. And
so it's the mechanic.
It's the mechanic. I just have to keep reminding myself in this of what the sort of actual story is at the time.
But I think that's also because primarily when we've been playing this game, I've always taken charge of the cards and have been reading the story. And I think that's perhaps next time you need to do that, and we do try to share out the different responsibilities, so we give different people different tokens to be responsible for, but perhaps I've been hogging the cards and the story cards a little bit too much.
But it's just one for me. I get so involved in killing the monsters and running around and doing this and doing that. It's my memory. I forget what the story
that's
is.
also something that's really worth pointing out, in that in the base game, and I'm sure there's going to be expansions. There always is with these games, and that's going to just increase the value here. I think you only get 4 quests, 4 adventures, 4 stories, but they're all very different. We've played all bar 1, and they are very, very different. Even each time you play an individual one, whilst the core story is the same, how you get there and what happens in between has been very different.
And
the
whether
characters
you succeed
as well.
or fail on one of the parts of it.
Yes. Yeah. So I think that's worth watching. There is something in this game which really made me laugh and absolutely adored when we were going around when there were the 6 of us playing this, and that's these cards. So these are not cards that are in Mansions of Madness or Eldritch Horror.
Right.
This is a headline card and comes about when you draw this token from the Bag of Doom, as we refer to it. And when we played this, everybody did it in their best crier's voice. So we had truckers' strike leads to shortages, trade unions at it again, food necessities affected, are unions communists? And we would go round the table, and then we had, I think there's a couple that you can get from here, and they change the story, and they can change the story quite considerably, make it quite difficult for you. But we really liked that, and we it was the silliness of going around and calling it out, and just when you've got some friends around, a few drinks around the table, and having, and that's to me what the board gaming hobby is about. It's about enjoying time with your friends, socialising, having a laugh, and actually we still remember that, and we talk about it with our friends when we meet up, and there's bits and pieces we still discuss, and I think that's something that's really important. So fun factor.
I'll go with a 9 until I've started running the Codex cards myself.
I've got to go for the 10. Yeah. Just because of even playing it 2-player was enjoyable. We haven't played these sort of games solo. I imagine it's still as much fun, though personally for me it's about the social aspect of the gaming as well. So complexity, it does look daunting. When you open the box, it really does look daunting. One thing that Fantasy Flight does that I wish other companies would do is they do a learn how to play set of rules. There's the rules reference, and then there's the learn to play, and these work so well together in teaching you how to play the game. It does that makes a huge difference and reduces the complexity quite considerably. It's not a complex game.
It's not.
Once you've got your head around it.
It's one that you can... Obviously, you've got to learn how to set it up and the basic rules, but you can learn as you play. It's not one that you have to learn the rules, completely understand it to be able to set up. You can just set it up, get going. Any mistakes you make are easily rectifiable without sort of upsetting the game, and keep going. And it is easy to learn.
Yes, again, I'd give it a I'd give it a 9 out of 10. It's I genuinely don't think there's many in regards to rules that I'm going to ever give a 10. It's I just don't think there's many places which do the rules like that. But unless some of the videos, some that have produced videos for that, which work quite well. So, replayability.
Oh, there is so much replayability, because the codex cards, there are so many of them that they come up in different orders depending on how you've played at times, and I'm sure there's going to be more expansions coming out as well. It's like Arkham Horror, where there are so many different options for shuffling the cards
Eldritch Horror.
Eldritch Horror, sorry, thank you. This is Arkham Horror. The replayability is huge.
Now, I would have to disagree a little bit.
Okay.
Absolutely right. There are a lot of cards, and each card, how it works is a location has 3 areas on it, and the cards for that location have 3 locations on it, and you can read these, and it will, so that there's quite a few options, and you don't see many repeats all the way through, but you don't get many cards. And it's like Eldritch Horror. When Eldritch Horror with the base game, you don't have many cards to begin with. But then as the expansions came out, you get more and more cards. And I think that's what's going to happen here. It's easy to learn to begin with. The core game starts you off on that journey. As those expansions come out, which I fully expect they will do, we will see more cards, more replayability, until there is a glut of cards. So you think of the stack of cards that we've got for Eldritch Horror, and we never see the same items.
No.
So I think something similar with this, absolutely right to begin with for a core game, especially for the cost. This was, should be pointed out, I think in the UK we paid about £50 for this game. And when you consider that a lot of games of this size and of the replayability go for a lot more than that, I think that was a very good price point. Replayability for me, it's going to be an 8.
Okay. See, I'd go with a 9.
Okay. I can see that. Okay.
But yeah, overall, it is a fantastic game. Fantasy Flight have done it again.
Yes, so final thoughts on it are that absolutely this is brilliant fun. I don't think I've never not enjoyed playing this with friends. You do need to set some time aside. The more players that you have, the longer the game goes. But it's not a game where one player hogs all the limelight and then it goes around and people are bored, and it's also not a game where I certainly haven't seen it, or not been aware of it, where you've got the sort of alpha gamer mentality of you should do this because this is the best way of playing it. There's so many different permutations, there's so many different ways of playing the game that I just don't think that's a problem, or we haven't seen it.
And the cooperative element really comes into it, because when there's a big monster that one person can't handle, or there's a lot of doom opening up in one area that needs dealing with, everyone is discussing whose abilities can help with another person's abilities, and can we all get to the same area to help each other, and it is a really good cooperative game.
Yes, I think if you enjoy cooperative games, if you enjoy strong thematic games, if you enjoy spending time with some of your friends and having a laugh with that sort of 1920s horror vibe, highly recommend this. If you enjoy Mansions of Madness and enjoy Eldritch Horror, again, highly recommend this. It sits. If you're wondering whether it does belong in your collection because you've already got those 2 games, and how different is it? It is different enough. It's got enough in it that it feels different to those games. I would love to see a campaign across all 3 games. It's something we've been talking about doing, and I think there's room for that. Something I think we may look at later on this year. But overall, go and buy it. It that's simple. If invest in it, it'll certainly I think have a good place in most people's collection.
Yeah.
So I think last things to say are thank you for watching, and we do really appreciate it. We've certainly seen the subscriber numbers go up, and that's fantastic for us, and we really appreciate that. We really appreciate any ideas on any games you'd like to see reviewed. We're still waiting for U-Boat. That's going to be coming. I believe that they're still working on the app. Yeah. So I don't know. As soon as we get the game, we'll do an unboxing. But when we can play it, we have to wait for them to finish the app before we can actually play a game. We want to video a game through as well. I know we're all quite excited for that one. I think we've got a couple of other ideas that we want to look through. We're looking at Village Attacks being one of the next reviews, and we're certainly looking at the Zombicide, Black Plague, Zombicide, Wolfberg, Green Horde, and the Friends and Foes pack, and the I can't remember what the other one is off the top of my head, but we're certainly going to look at those, and at some point we must do Eldritch Horror, and we must do Mansions of Madness, especially as the last Mansions of Madness, Horrific Journeys. We played this alongside Horrific Journeys for Mansions of Madness with our friends, and a fantastic evening. Yes, it was fueled with rum and home cooking, or home cooked lasagna, as we like to do. This year we've got the Necronomicon Nom 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 for food inspirations. We'll put something up about that on somewhere up here. So that looks rather fun, and perhaps we may be able to persuade our friends to video some of the Cthulhu this year. Yeah. Anyway, so thank you.
Thank you for watching, and please give us a like and a subscribe.
Yes, a like and subscribe would be highly appreciated. Thank you. Bye.